Hello folks, welcome to Legacy IAS. In today's class, we will be discussing a very important topic, which is a current affair topic as well as this was asked in your 2024 mains polity question. Okay? Now, what is the topic we're discussing? That is the simultaneous elections in India. Okay, this is a topic of debate since very long time. This is not a present day debate, or this is not coming to current affairs just now per se. It's been in the news for since a very long time. Okay, but on the same topic, okay, now some concrete steps have been taken to finalize on doing this one, meaning a bill was introduced, okay, and also a committee on your Ramnath Kovind committee was also formed to discuss on the topic of your one nation one election. So the same thing, okay, same thing was asked as a question in your UPSC mains polity 2024 also. What is this one nation one election? Simple, it's as the name states, और पूरा इंडिया के लिए one election for your Lok Sabha, the same election पे, okay, look at this name, synchronizing electoral schedule for Lok Sabha, state assemblies and local bodies, meaning that one election will be conducted which will be for Lok Sabha as well as for legislative assemblies, and the cherry on the cake, as well as for your panchayats and municipal. Now, when we say one election, doesn't mean you'll go vote once and that is the rule for everything. Okay? No, see, for your Lok Sabha elections, okay, when you go to vote, the legislative assembly, that is for both center as well as state, when you go to vote, either they've not told one day pe instantly whether that person will vote for center also, the person will vote for state also. No, they haven't told like that. Okay, rather they've told, okay, we could either do it in phases or we could even do it simultaneously. Okay, and because we added the third feature also, your local bodies, panchayat and municipalities, that also doesn't mean in that moment only they will stand there in the voting booth and vote for Lok Sabha, legislative assembly and your panchayat. No, there is this thing that is, okay, the proposal that's coming from the introduced bill, a bill is introduced on this front, which states within 100 days, okay, within 100 days of elections conducted for your Lok Sabha and legislative assembly, you have to also conduct it in your panchayat and municipalities. Now we will further delve into questions such as, is this a new concept to be introduced to India or was it there before? Okay, and if we do, what is the merits? And if we do it, what is the demerits? All that we'll discuss. Okay, we'll see the question, what was asked in your mains. The mains question states that examine the need for electoral reforms as suggested by various committee with one particular reference to one nation, one election. Ramnath Kovind committee. Principle, answer in 150 words. It's a 10-mark question. Okay? Now, first let's discuss about this concept. One nation, one election. Is this concept new to India? Okay? Is this concept new to India? The answer is no. We've had several elections, that is the 1950s, 60s, and all this period of elections, in 1952, first general election, etc., was all one nation, one election concept only. Understanding? So, is it new? No. We have had elections, that is one nation, one elections. Okay, that is synchronized election. The word here you will use is synchronized elections, meaning same for your Lok Sabha as well as your legislative assembly. Okay, so what happened? If we've had that, then why did we come to a different election for Lok Sabha, different election for legislative assemblies? What just happened? Now, in your 1960s period of time, okay, what happened was many legislative assemblies, okay, Now either they could be dissolved, okay, either because of hung assemblies, okay, either because of losing confidence, no confidence motion, and all these reasons, certain legislative assemblies, okay, for them a re-election had to be conducted. Okay, meaning what does it say? First thing, yes, we had elections like this. Second thing, yes, a fallout happened. Now, third thing, when we're proposing this back again, this time we have to build better, which means we have to foolproof it. If at all, let's say we consider creating a synchronized model of Lok Sabha and Legislative Assembly election. In this method, we also have to keep a foolproof method as to what will happen in case the same issue that happened in 1960 repeats itself. Meaning, what if certain assemblies or Lok Sabha for that matter, what if it had to get dissolved? What if they lose no confidence? What does it happen then? That mechanism has to be foolproof fixed in here if we have to take this forward. Okay, so that again, couple years down the lane, we'll now introduce one nation, one election. Couple down years, again, the same thing that happened in 1960s, if it keeps on continuing, it doesn't have a proper, okay, stance to the institution that we create. Okay, it's simply like we keep changes, amendments, everything we bring to the constitution, and then we fall back to the old method. What is the point? Okay, then we're not strengthening the institution for being as time tested. Any institution, if it has to last, then it has to be time tested, which means over the years, over the course of years, it has to sustain. If our constitution is a time tested body, that is because it has sustained from 1947 to 2024, and it has to last for other years also. Understanding? Like we discussed, one nation, one election concept is not new to India. India has experienced one nation, one election. We've had it in 1952, 57, 62, 67 elections and all. Okay. Post this, I told you, no, the break. The break came because a couple of legislative assemblies, okay, re-election had to be conducted. And post that, okay, post that all this happened, right? Post that, your Election Commission 1983 report and your Law Commission 1999 report also said go back to the old form of conducting one nation, one election. Okay, they also suggested for resuming. Okay, here it was about resuming back, resume the election concept that we had followed in the 52 phase. Okay, the 2018 Law Commission draft also speaks about the same thing. Okay, but also one important thing is, yes, we might have had it before, okay, and then we had a break. But now, if we have to reinstate that one, okay, certain recommendations, okay, are stating do this, but see now the bill proposed, okay, it is like, yes, we have to synchronize both Lok Sabha and Legislative Assembly elections, but that has to happen without the state ratification. Okay, again, state ratification means 50% of the states have to pass it with simple majority. Yes, whereas your commissions, okay, they are telling that no, take one nation, one election concept, but also bring it with the ratification of state, which means permission of the states, which means agreeal of the state, consent of the states. Why? So that the federal feature doesn't get disturbed. Now you can tell, it was not there before. No, so what is the issue now? See, we are not the same nation that we were in this eras, right? This decades were different. Present day is different. Okay, a regionalism, okay, got imbibed into national unity. Regionalism itself is not a bad term, right? So when you are seeing the positive effects of regionalism and associating with federalism, then you are doing some changes which affects federalism, then you have to take state ratification also, is what certain commissions are recommending. All right. So what is the proposal? Simultaneous election for Lok Sabha and state assemblies. You have to synchronize the municipal and panchayat election within 100 days of your assembly elections. Okay. Now to do this, we have to bring in a lot of amendments to the constitution, to the election body. okay, and also how the election has to be conducted. And one more main task before us is we already have fresh conducted elections now. See, 2024 general elections is conducted, yeah. Now again another 5 years, right? The 2029 PAVE elections are going to come. Now there are certain states where they have to go for re-election in 2026. There are certain states which have to go for election in 2029. There are certain states which have to go for election in 2028. Now when exactly election should be happen? What will happen for the remaining period? That question also should be addressed. So few of the amendments is, for the first thing is you will have to insert a new article 82A into the constitution, which speaks about simultaneous elections for Lok Sabha and your state assemblies. And according to Article 327, we have to expand the power of Parliament to introduce and conduct simultaneous elections. Okay, and then we also have to make sure the discussion we just had, Lok Sabha and State Assembly replaces the previous one, will serve only for the remaining unexpired term. Okay, like I told you, let's say 2029 is the next general election. Yes, there are certain states where they have to go for re-election in 2026. There are certain states who will have to go for election in 2028. Okay, there are someone who will go later than 2029. Now, all of them have to affix themselves for 2029 elections. Understanding? And also, you have to come up with the inclusion of a new article, that is Article 324A, which states that Parliament can make laws with respect to municipality and panchayat elections being simultaneously held with Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies. This is not just about Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies anymore. It is also about your local bodies, which means it is in a bigger concept completely. It is one nation, one election. Okay, that is from your all three tiers. All three tiers ka one nation, one election. Understanding? Now, what are the changes that we have to bring with respect to the electoral practices? Your Election Commission of India, along with State Election Commission, have to come up, okay, with a unified electoral roll and ID system. And also, see, one election for one particular state itself requires so much manpower, personnel, okay, so much funding, security forces, etc. Now for entire election and all three, one nation one election concept के लिए if they have to do, then they have to make sure the adequate, okay, the adequate necessary measures also they should take in the form of your police personnel, security forces, manpower. Okay, and this is not a very simple thing. Like I said, we are not the same country what we were in 1950s. Now we've changed in 2014. We are not the same voter that we were back in that point of time. So here it is a very different arena. Okay, so which means their level of preparation also has to be very higher. Another thing is, this is what I said, we have to have a foolproof method. What will happen in case if certain, okay, assemblies, or let's say Lok Sabha itself, if they go into no confidence motion, if they get hung assemblies, okay, in these conditions, what will you do? Okay, this also should be like a safety mechanism should be there. Okay. What are the other changes is this concept of appointed date declaration. Okay, it is proposed that the president has to set an appointed date concept to start the new electoral cycle of your general elections. All right, and also you should sync the state assembly terms. Again, this is not an easy task as it appears on the paper. To make it come to a reality, You will alter the entire federal structure, you will alter the entire balance with union and state with this one concept. Okay, now this much we're speaking. Why have we supposed to do this? What are the merits? First and foremost, you understand election is a very costly process, very time consuming process. Throughout the year in and year out, okay, your political parties, rather than focusing on governance, they are already okay involved in Lok Sabha elections. They have to be involved in legislative assembly elections. They have to be involved in okay, their involvement is more in the electoral campaigns rather than focus on governance, rather than focus on what the long term policies the people need. Okay, so when we do that, there is one nation one election, the rest of the time it can be focused on policies, long term implications, okay, and the necessary aid that India's people and India's democracy needs. Understanding? And then it comes with its own demerits also. We'll discuss that also after this. So, what is the first and foremost? Cost reduction. Okay. And one more thing we see is we've observed this trend of very low voter turnout. Urban, rural, if you compare also, rural by voter turnout is higher compared to urban. At least if we have this one nation, one election, at least this is my right, my political right. I have to at least turn up to vote once concept will be there. At least this is not 100% sure mechanism how if we do this voter turnout will be there. This is a possibility. Okay, and also better use of security forces. Again, we know the importance of security forces, especially in this geopolitical scenario. Okay, where their use can be better and efficiently managed if not for this year round elections. Okay, and one more thing is, as we discussed, you could focus on governance rather than campaigning all the period of time. Okay, again, like I said, like for every merit there's also an equivalent demerit. We kept discussing, no? First and foremost is the federalism. Okay, the fine balance of federalism might get affected. Okay, and especially if you think about bringing it without the state ratification, this might introduce a lot of dissatisfaction among your center and state relations also. Okay, no matter what happens, if it is affecting a federal system, it is better to have them also involved in the process rather than alienate them and force it down upon them. Don't you think, isn't it what democracy is all about, especially in a country like India? So, what are the demerits? Anti-federal concerns, meaning, like we said, the fine balance of federalism might get affected. Again, here everything is on the possibility. Nothing can be told for certain here. Okay, one nation, one election could bring positive things to us. One nation, one election could also bring okay enmity between center state, etc. Okay, that feature is also a possibility. So until and unless we do something about it, we won't know it. But to do that, okay, we just have to take some precautions. All right. Accountability becomes into question, which means, see, 5 years, if you're going to tell, these people ka term is fixed for 5 years, okay, then they may become a little bit, there is your government officials might become lax, you can't hold them accountable. Okay, that is also a possibility, right? If you, and especially in these kinds, see, popular rule is a feature of democracy. Popular ruler is not a feature of democracy, right? Popular rule is preferred. Popular ruler, I'm not telling popular ruler is not preferred, but this is not a feature of a democracy. You have to hold the folks accountable. Okay, you give them the security of tenure 5 years, you do whatever you want, nothing will happen to your post. That brings a sense of lax in them, right? You, there is a possibility that they might not be efficient if there is no accountability. Again, all this on the probable scenarios. Another thing is very, very difficult thing is with the synchronization. Synchronizing your state elections to your center elections. That is where the difficulty also lies. Tampering with the democracy, like we said, democracy is all about people's will, right? Already in the current geopolitical scenario, democracy is happening to be balancing on very fine lines. When this democracy is balancing on the fine lines, you start pulling the last threads. What happens? It is bound to collapse. So, if we are to introduce something, we have to make sure that necessary mechanisms are built, a foolproof, okay, safe mechanism is also inbuilt into the system so as to what to do in case if these kind of scenarios, that is prospects, also have to be considered. Understanding? I hope you've enjoyed this topic and the discussion. Okay, if you do like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, share it along with your friends. Okay, thank you.